Welcome to Health Talk Tuesdays. I decided to interview my dear friend Saiba. So this is going to be a special episode. I'm so glad she was willing to share her input on a personal topic, okay? She's dealt with this since childhood. In fact, she shares how her natural lifestyle choices had made doctors look at her as a special case, even after being told that she wouldn't live past the age of 12. Can you believe that? So let's dive into this interview and enlighten your mind. Before I do, let me go ahead and introduce myself just in case you don't know who I am. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, like this video, subscribe so you can join the Healthy Professors Tribe so you can learn about health facts, spread knowledge to your friends and family, and be at ultimate peace and wellness for life. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about saving yourself naturally, and especially when doctors are all out of hope, okay? So today I have my guest with me. I'm going to be interviewing. Her name is Saiba. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So yeah, we're long-term friends. We've actually worked in the education sector with each other, okay? But she
Yes.
moved long distance, and I'm so happy to be able to meet with her via Zoom. So this is exciting.
Likewise. Thank you.
Yes. I wanted to talk to her specifically because I know she has a disorder that she has dealt with since childhood, and we wanted to talk more about that today. So she's ready to open up and share some of this information, so maybe we can help others that are faced with it. Okay? All right. All right. Well, your first question is, what health issues have you been faced with over the years?
So I have the dis-ease, which is referred to as sickle cell disease.
Love how you said that. Dis-ease. People, follow my YouTube so y'all can understand how what she just said, dis-ease, because we don't have to blend it together, disease. No. Separate it. Look it up, guys. You'll know what she's talking about. Okay, I know what you're talking about. All right. Keep going.
So it's something you're born with, and they didn't start testing children until 82. And so I was born in 81. So, I was having complications as a child and they didn't know. So when they started the testing in 82 is when I was actually diagnosed. But it's something you're born with, right? So sometimes you go to the doctor and they say, how long have you had it? I'm like, do you know what this is? You're treating me or you're asking me how long I've had it. It's something you're born with.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Was it something that was passed on from your mother, your father?
That's correct. My mom. Okay. So my mom had the trait and my dad had the trait, and that's typically how it works. The odds are there's the statistics of it, right? When both parents have the trait, I think it's like 50-50. And then if one parent has the trait and the other one doesn't, it's like 25%. And then if one parent has the disease and the other one doesn't, then, it's a breakdown of different statistics based on what the parents carry. But yes, it's passed on from the parents. So yeah.
Okay. That's good information. That's good to know. All right. Could you explain what makes a sickle cell anemia disorder a disorder that most people traditionally just don't comprehend too well? They just don't get the clear understanding of.
So it's a dis-ease, right? And so it tells you what it is. Sickle cell. So we all have these red and white blood cells, right, in our bodies. And so for sickle cell patients, those red blood cells are shaped like a sickle, right? Or crescent moon, if you will. And so instead of flowing easily through the veins and the blood vessels, because of how they're shaped, they get stuck, right? And they fog up and they make it hard for oxygen, blood, air, all those things, right, to flow through the blood vessels. And that's how we have these different types of acute pain crises. We have vaso-occlusive crises, etc. So.
Okay. I think you explained that well, because I've always just been personally myself not quite clear on truly understanding, what exactly is sickle cell. But I know that it can be detrimental for, victims that are faced with it. So
that is correct.
What is your experience during a crisis?
So when I was younger, I would be ill all the time. And typically my crisis when I was younger would affect my joints. So my knees, elbows, just all the joints, as well as my back. I had the worst pain in my back. And I've had a few instances where I've had a crisis in my feet. But technically it can affect any part of the body, right? Because this is blood and these cells flowing through your body. So anywhere that these cells get stuck and there's, again, not an adequate flow of blood and oxygen going through, then it can cause pain wherever and however. It can damage all sorts of organs, etc. Your bones, where we have a proclivity to osteoporosis, it can affect the entire body. So, yeah.
Okay. And when you describe the pain on a scale of 1 to 10, so we can get a clear understanding of what type of pain you're going through, where were you probably gauge that?
So as a child, it was 10, right? Because you're small then and you're learning this. All of this is new to you, and so there would be times where I would have morphine and I would still be crying, screaming, crying with the morphine, and so the morphine was doing nothing, right? And we know how strong of a pain medicine that is, and so all types of pain medicines coming in, and I would still be in pain. So as an adult, I would say, especially having sickle cell, it has made my pain tolerance high. So those are things that now I deal with, that maybe it was a 10 when I was younger. Now it's a 5 because I've learned how to cope with high levels of pain. Right. So.
Right. Okay. Wow. Like, you almost got me teary-eyed. Like, seriously, just to know, like, a 10? You know, like, you know how when you go to the hospital and they ask you, like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? And, you know, if you're at a 10, that's serious, you know? Yeah. So, wow, that really explains a lot. Okay. Wow. Especially for children, that could be, you know, fearful, like not understanding, like, what's going on with my body? Why am I feeling like this all the time? Okay. All right. Quick question. Is there a cure for sickle cell?
There is no cure, right? As we know by the industry, right? The pharmaceutical industry, the doctors, Western medicine. There's no cure per se, but there are individual things that each person can learn to do for their body, which I've learned over time. I know when I was younger, like I said, like the morphine, none of that stuff helped, right? My dad would like massage my back. When the pain was there, I would lay on the heating pad, and sometimes those things worked, but sometimes they didn't, right? So those are things to kind of just like numb the pain or symptoms, but there is no cure for sickle cell disease, no.
Wow. Okay. All right. So could you explain what was the worst experience with dealing with this disorder? Like, what is something that you can recall that was just like the worst experience ever?
So when you say worst experience, do you mean like an encounter with the healthcare provider, or do you mean like a specific crisis that I had?
Specific crisis or an experience in like, you know, a public setting, experience with friends, family, or work related, anything?
Let's see, the worst, I would say maybe at school when I was younger. And then I've had another instance when I was an adult, but I'll talk about the instance when I was at school. Actually, my mom decided she never let me really go anywhere to do anything. And I was in 5th grade, and I remember this, and I really begged her, can I go to this camping trip? You know, please, please, please. And she was afraid I would get sick, but you know, she let me go, and I was glad, grateful, right? And so the first night we get there, due to all of the things, the circumstances, I ended up getting sick. So one, at the camp, I don't think that I had the shoes for the shower or anything like that. It was cold at night, so I didn't have the proper coverage for my body. Walking into the showers, you know, and walking back, or maybe I did have the shoes, but still it's cold at night, right? So I'm exposed, and having to shower and then get back out in the elements. Those sort of things trigger crisis, right? And so that's the first time I had the crisis in my feet. Actually, I just remember my feet being really, really cold. And so here I am, you know, with my peers of 5th graders, and I'm screaming, and this is excruciating pain. We're in this cabin. The cabin leader walked me all the way to the emergency center, right? on the premises, call my mom, and the next morning, because it was kind of far away, so by the next morning my mom made it to pick me up and take me back to the hospital. But that whole night, just being in the emergency center at the camp and crying, and just that was rough. That seemed like the longest night, waiting for my mom to get there the next day to have some sort of alleviation of the pain. There was pretty much nothing. I think they had, like, I don't know, Tylenol or whatever they have available, which none of that worked right or was working. And so
I can imagine.
So to be in that pain, and not only that, but again amongst my peers, and this was the one time that my mom let me go and do something, and I got sick the first night, just all those things, right? So that was one event. And then I would say my next time, I was in, where was I? Argentina on a business trip. I used to work for an oil and gas company, and we would travel, and we were in Argentina, and we went to the falls again, lots of water. So I had these tennis shoes on that got wet, right? And it did get kind of cold too. So my feet are in these shoes, and I'm cold, and my body's wet. And so it gets cold at night. We don't make it back to the hotel. So I remember buying, because we were out and I knew that, I did need to take care of myself to stay warm. We just went into the store and I bought like this huge shawl to try and, keep myself warm. But by then it was already too late, my sickle cell conditions were already starting to kick in. So by the time we got to the hotel, same thing. I remember getting sick and having to go to the hospital. I called my coworker at the hotel and I was like, I gotta go to the ER, and they both call. We make it to the hospital, and I stayed, I think it was 3 to 5 days in a hospital in Argentina, and my mom ended up coming and everything, so it was a whole deal. It was a huge ordeal. I'd never gotten sick in front of my coworkers, and so that was the first time, and I think they were traumatized by the whole event, even though I'm used to being sick. But also I counted it as a it definitely lesson learned, new experience, but also I had never had the blood thinners that in the stomach, right? Mm-hmm. And in the US, I had never been treated like that. And I feel like that helped in me healing faster in the hospital. I'll say that. That was the first time that I learned that. And it was a doctor who was there, thank God, like all of that worked out, who had studied sickle cell and worked with that in Africa and also in the US. So like right away he came, and I was like, hey, I was willing to try any of the things, right? And I'd never done that before. So that was new, and it helped and it worked. So that was, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Wow. I mean, just looking at you and knowing that I've had friends that have also had, sickle cell, you guys are strong. And you just, I'm serious, like even just know that you guys are really strong, and you play your role as, having relationships, having friends and co-workers, and you manage it all like, hey, gotta put my health on the back. I gotta do what I gotta do, and that's tough, which leads me into the next question. How has dealing with this disorder affected your relationships at work, your relationships outside of work with friends, even relatives? How has that affected any of your relationships?
Well, I think it's interesting what you said, having to put your health on the back. I think prior to where I am now in my life, that is what I was doing, putting my health on the back. Mm-hmm. Now I've learned to put it on the front.
On the front. Hey, put everything else on the back. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And so that important. Has made a huge difference, right? Yes. And where I am in relationships, all of the above, taking care of me first and making sure, when I am in an organization, that they know up front, these are the things. I am healthy, I don't have issues anymore, but please know that I do, live and thrive with sickle cell disease. So,
Right. Had you ever felt ashamed to disclose it because maybe a job would say, oh no, we don't want to hire someone that has this issue or these health problems?
Most definitely. I think on the app, most of the apps, they ask you, if you have a disorder, disease or anything. And I would always look to see if they had sickle cell, so I wouldn't feel like I was lying if I said no. And I feel like there was like 1 or 2 organizations that specify, and I was shocked to see it. So then I had to be honest and say, but if I don't see it, then I put no, I don't. And then later at a time where I think it's important, I have a 1-to-1 with HR, like my supervisor. Right. And yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And I know
Once the relationship
what you're saying, because when I was diagnosed 2 years ago with cancer, when I started, filling out applications, I would see that come up, and I'm like, well, why do they need to know that? Like, I know it's probably a concern, but at the same time, if you're hiring me, why do you need to know my health condition? So, and you're hesitant to put it because you would think that's gonna deter you from getting that job.
Them.
Right,
right. Yeah.
All right. So, next question. Let's see. How has coping with the disease as an adult affected your life?
As an adult, I've learned to thrive with it, right? So it's made me more health conscious, right? Like, what are the things, because it's helped me take my power back and control and not give it to doctors and like other people, and know that, no, wait a minute. Yes, there are many people thriving with sickle cell disease, but there's only one Saiba ego, right? Dwelling with that. And my body is different than the next person's body. There are different variations of sickle cell disease and so many things. So it's really helped me learn about who I am and my body and what I respond to, what my blood type is, what's the proper diet for that, what's my genotype, what's the proper diet for that, what's my Ayurvedic dosha, right? And what's optimum for that in my eating. And so what works best for me? And I can tell any doctor, I know me better than you. So you might have practiced, and that's what people have to look at. They are practicing medicine. So I am an expert at me and how I feel, and what this makes me do. And if I take this, well, I'm going to feel this here. I know me. And so when I'm meeting, new doctors, I'm so aware of what's going on with me that, their practice working with me sometimes helps if they're open to that. But some of them, again, in their practice are thinking that there's this one way for all patients. And then those doctors I typically choose not to work with. So, yeah.
Okay, yes, you said a word right there. Like, it's about knowing you. These doctors meet you for about 5-10 minutes, maybe 20-30 minutes at a time. You don't know me. I am not like everybody else. I am not a copy of a book, okay? So I am me, and you got to know me, and only you know yourself, okay? That is so true, okay? I've been taking notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. So
no worries.
I heard you say something about research. So no, not actually research. I want to talk about research because you said that you know about your dosha, you knowing about your blood type, you knowing about all these things. So how did you get to that level? Was it based on research?
Right. But so I started, again, for me, it's this mindfulness. That's the work that I do, right?
Okay. All right.
So being present, which a lot of people don't know how to be present in this present moment. So I'm here interviewing with you, right? But if I'm not mindful, in my head, I can be ahead of things that I have to do later today, or I can be in the past in my head about, darn it, I should have done this, that, and the other, or, how to, as opposed to just being right here physically present and listening to you, and also listening to the spirit within me, listening to my feelings that come up as I'm talking to you about this, listening to my body as it signals me as I'm saying different things. Well, why did I feel this here when I said this? So mindfulness has really brought me to this process. And my first mindful choice was when I left my mom's house and went away to college, right? I decided immediately to become a vegetarian my very first year of college. And again, that was because that was in my spirit and my body, and because I was fully present.
You have to listen to yourself. Yes,
I received the message and I did it, right? So again, I didn't do it when I was younger, because growing up in a Black household, you don't tell your mom what you are and aren't eating. When she's
exactly. Oh, you're gonna eat this.
You're gonna eat all the fried stuff. You're gonna eat all the things that may not be good for your health, but that's what's cooked, so you're gonna eat.
Exactly.
So again, went away to college, and the first year, it was like, because I already knew I didn't really like beef anyway as a child. I wasn't a fan of pork. The only thing I knew I really liked seafood, right? I did like that. But for some reason, this urge was strong and I followed it. And so
Right.
that was like the first step in mindfulness. And so
Right.
again, on my journey, as you follow spirit continues to talk to you, right? And give you messages.
Ooh,
when you
you
stop
giving me
listening,
chills.
right? When you stop listening, spirit stops speaking, right? So as I'm
Exactly.
listening, I'm getting the next step and the next step and the next step. So then I was guided to this body type, eating right for your blood type is what it was. I was guided there. This I literally, things just started to fall out of my lap. Like, what's the proper diet for you? You're this A+ blood type.
Yes.
What's good for your optimal health? And so I was just, being a sponge to all the things that spirit was guiding me through. I won't say that it was always easy, right? Because I remember my sophomore year, I decided to be pescatarian. I was missing that fish. And so it was still making healthy choices, right?
Right.
And so I think a few years I allowed even chicken back in at some point in my life. And then now where I am, it's been about 5 years, and what I call it now, I'm an intuitive eater. So again, allowing spirit to guide me in my food choices.
I'll tell you what that is. Flexitarian. You are flexitarian. That's what you are, okay? I'm a flexitarian. I want you to look it up. It's a real thing. So flexitarian, we dibble in this some days, we dibble in that some days. But it's all about balance. And it's what your body can accept. What you want that day would make your body feel good, would make your body say, oh, wait a minute, I had enough of that. I can't have no more of that this time. Hey, you got to flow with it. So yeah, we're flexible.
That is correct. So still don't eat. It's been, oh my God, 21 years since I've had beef or pork. Like literally when I went away, I never added that back because I'm not a fan of it. So beef or pork has been about 20 years. And so now when I do eat meat, it's seafood, right? So there's no chicken or poultry or anything like that, but seafood occasionally. But sometimes I even vacillate and I'll do vegan, and so like all vegan things. And sometimes it's just vegetables. It just depends on like what my body is saying and what is good for my body, what it likes. I try not to deprive it, because when I was younger, I was really strict and like stringent, especially when I first became a vegetarian. No, not this, I'm not eating that. I'm not, not really listening to my body, but more in my head about what I thought versus what my body was saying. No, baby, we need this. You're depriving us. You need some of these nutrients that you're saying no to. Yes. And so once I started to listen and really follow, like, I feel great.
Man, I just love how you even explained it. Like, you got to be in tune to your body, because we will get stuck on a diet and go, no, I'm not eating any of that. And then you're like getting this craving, this urge. Like your body's like, I need this. Like, I don't care what you're trying to do. You gonna give me this today. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it's really serious to be able to be in tune with your body. Okay, good. You are sharing some gems right now. All right, next question. Well, I was going to ask you this question first, but let me go ahead and go up to my next question, then I'll go back to it. So my next question is, how have you managed to live a healthy lifestyle aside of what traditionally doctors may have recommended or suggested for you?
Again, so I knew that I wanted to feel great. And I knew that I didn't want to be bound to any medicine, right? So those are my two truths. Like when I came to spirit, I was like, I don't want to be taking this medicine that, they're saying sickle cell patients have to take. And I don't want, like, I want to feel good. I've always been active. Even when I was taking the medicine as a little girl, you have to take a lot of penicillin when you're younger, all those things. I was still active, right? Like I liked gymnastics, I was a cheerleader, like I did. So I wanted to be able to thrive. And so I found yoga in college also that was like profound in helping me also find meditation. So it was a place of stillness and a place to listen to my body more and be fully present and mindful and recognize, my decisions, not just in food choices and health choices, but in all areas of my life. Like, how am I living? Yoga really brings your life pattern to your face when you're on the mat, because how you are on the mat really shows you how you show up in the world. And that's where a lot of my transformation started to take place. So
interviewing you and you preaching to me. Like, I'm so serious right now. I think about the things that, and people, I'm silly. I'm, when I'm recording, I try to make it humorous just to kind of get the laughter in, to keep from crying, and of course.
Yeah.
But the reality is, there are times that I sit to myself and go, how did I know to eat that? How did I know to take this? When I was, told, oh, there's no cure, there's nothing we can do, well, this is all we can do for you. And what steered me to do that? It was like you said, that word mindfulness. I was in tune to myself that said, no, I'm not doing this, I'm doing this. And a lot of people ignore that. They go, nope, that's what my doctor said. No, this is all I can do. I don't know anything else. I don't know how to think outside the box.
Back.
Take your power back. I love it. I love how you're saying that. Okay, that helps me to understand what exactly was I being steered towards, because I question that all the time. How did I know that? How did I realize this is what I needed? I personally needed, even though my doctors had no idea what all the other patients in my same situation needed. I knew what I needed, and yeah, I was mindful. Mindful.
Yes, that's it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Next question. What is the worst information doctors have shared with you in regards to your diagnosis?
Oh my gosh. Well, I remember when I was younger, they told my parents that I wouldn't live past 12. So I don't think you give anybody a death sentence just because you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Oh, I know what it feels like.
Or you're not familiar with the dis-ease or whatever. I just don't think that's what you say to anybody. I think there's hope. It's all about your mindset and how you're willing to move through things and how you're willing to change to thrive, right? So that was like the first thing when I was younger. And then when I was older, I had a crisis, a foot crisis actually, right before, maybe like 5 years ago, right before I decided to move here. And the doctor, I don't understand it because I was in the US. It's like, they knew I had sickle cell disease, but nobody knew how to work with it properly. And so it was showing up in my foot and my ankle, and they were trying to tell me that I sprained my ankle and I had all this. I said, you idiots, it is a pain crisis in my foot. And these are the things that you do for
the irony of having to tell doctors this, right?
Yes. And so I kind of lost it. I did come out of, my normal calm. Like, I was so frustrated because I was like, you all are being paid so much money. You're practicing. You are practicing. You don't know what you're doing with and for me. And it's frustrating.
And your life is on the hand. Your life is on the hand.
Exactly. So let's run some more tests. Let's run these bills up. Let's get some more money out of this patient. But I don't really know what to tell this patient. I don't really know how to fix this. And what if you just dwelled there for a moment as a doctor and said, we're looking, because you are a different sickle cell patient, because you don't operate like we are still, what if we just all came with truth in this moment, as opposed to, pretending to know everything because we're, those are probably like the two most challenging or frustrating times for sure. Mm-hmm.
Wow. This leads me to my final question. Okay. Are there any natural remedies that you have come across that have worked for you specifically, and would you recommend them to others who are faced with this disease?
Most definitely. So again, back to this mindfulness, like Spirit has shown me so many natural remedies, again, from eating right for my blood type. So I know me, again, a positive vegetarian diet is the best diet, right? I've also learned, if you need iron, then you may want to have about 3 to 6 prunes a day, right? Like, they're natural things. We don't necessarily have to take. Some supplements we do take, and I do take them, but some you can get from nature, from these fruits, from these vegetables. They tell you to take these, the fish oil and all those things, but do you know that where's the fish getting that from, right? They're eating, the seaweed. So you can just eat seaweed, right?
Exactly.
And that's going to give you what you need, and you don't have to take all these extra things, right?
Mindfulness.
So hydration, so drinking water and alkaline water, those things are going to be good for the body, right? What else? I learned about, I think I mentioned my dosha, right? So in Ayurveda, there are 3 different types of dosha, right? Pitta, Vata, Kapha. So learning that I'm Vata, but then I can have imbalances in other areas, right? But learning the diet that's better for me as a Vata type. And so, knowing that we tend to have maybe we're thinner shaped. There can be some dryness, right? In skin sometimes, and hair is fine. There's different types. And so there's food you want to eat, like warming foods. And so I was always eating raw vegetables and whole stuff. But then I learned from my body type that I want to have those cooked. And so then I started to make my soups and blend them and have them that way. So still having those vegetables, but for my body type, I need the warm because I'm already dried out. And so those cold vegetables were not helping. And so having the warmth of those vegetables to soup. So really just having the knowledge of who I am in all forms and facets, and what is like the best food for my body, and not just the best, but also the preparation of it, what serves
right,
right?
Exactly.
So that's not to say like I can't have a salad, but making sure that that's, or like raw vegetables, making sure that because that at what point that was like my primary way of eating. And then I learned, and now that I've learned like warming these vegetables, right? So again, I can cook these vegetables as opposed to just having them raw, and that serves me as a Vata dosha type better. So yeah.
So what are the benefits have you seen from, applying what you've learned from Ayurvedic remedies and treatments and things like that, from learning your dosha? What are the benefits? So
I would say that my hair is thicker, so not as fine. It's not dry like it used to be.
Okay.
And even my skin, right?
I see you're glowing. Your melanin is
popping. Yeah, so those things change, especially as I'm aging 10 days before I'm 40. And so I'm like, oh gosh.
40 where? Stop.
And my energy, right? So having the energy to thrive, especially having sickle cell, right? We know that our hemoglobin is low. Okay. And so ordinarily, I think the range for normal is like 12 to 14. And I operate at a 7 or 8. That's normal for me. I think the highest I've ever been is a 9. And so right, but I have this energy because I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing what works for me. I don't take any medicines for sickle cell disease, not a single one. I've shown
Wait a minute, virtual high five. What?
Yes. But I don't take
I love it.
Any. And so my hematologist, they're always baffled, right? And they're always like, oh wow, you're a different case. Yes, I am. All your patients are different cases.
Exactly.
But what I found interesting is that not a single one, and that's all my doctors, have thought to put me in some sort of study or do some more research to see how can this work for, more people. What is it that she's doing that we could help the lives of more sickle cell patients?
I see you're going to be adding on a part 2 because I was about to say now, I know why.
Oh yeah,
but we're not gonna go
but yeah, they wouldn't make any money, right? For practicing.
Wait a minute, you doing natural? Oh, nah, we're not interested.
I would say practice that. So yeah,
exactly.
No studies, but literally every doctor finds my case just to be, very interesting, and they're like, wow, like not taking a single medicine. I take, a vitamin D supplement, B12.
Okay.
And folic acid, and I think that's it. And then I do, my greens with my green smoothies, my green drinks. I put spirulina, wheatgrass. So yeah, but just all natural. And I typically do those in the morning. That's how I start my day after my teas. Oh, and herbal teas. I didn't mention that, but that's another thing that really helps, especially when there's pain.
I love some teas.
Yeah, especially when there's pain, like pain crisis. So learning like the different herbs that come together to help soothe and that are going to help relax, right? And open up those blood vessels and help the cells flow through. And so learning those different herbs and having teas. I have about 3 to 4 cups of different types of herbs a day that helps with that as well. And so, yeah,
So has that helped to reduce your number of crises or how frequent your crisis may come on?
Definitely. And also knowing, when enough is enough, right? So overexertion can be a trigger. Extreme temperatures, right? So making sure that if I am going to be in these cold temperatures, that I have the protection that I need, and I'm not, overexerting myself, or too much sun. Just being wise and knowing, what things can trigger and set me off. Drinking, staying hydrated. That's a big one. I've always been a person who loves water. So since I was young, I've always, made sure that I'm drinking a lot of water. We're supposed to drink half of our body weight in ounces a day if we can. And I definitely drink over that. For me, that's about half a gallon, and I definitely drink over that a day, but I always have. Like, I've always enjoyed water. And so that's something that should be happening. And just making sure your immune system is strong, so that when things do come along, like the flu or even COVID and things like that, if you already have a strong immune system, because you already have a proclivity, right, because of your disease, making sure you're already doing those things, having your vitamin C, and again, having all those natural foods that bring in the vitamin C and the vitamin D and the B12, that your body is already there. Then when those things come along, you can fight it with no problem.
Right. I'm so glad you touched on that. Okay. Well, you know what? I don't know if I should keep this Ask the Healthy Professor or change it to Saiba's tips. Like,
I like it.
Man, well, I mean, you're sharing some really serious gems, and it's nothing better than it to come from someone who's actually going through it, who's actually experiencing, hey, I need these things. I am mindful that I am wanting to learn more about my health, myself, these herbs, these remedies, okay? And it's helping me. So you're not just reading about it, you are physically experiencing it. That is awesome.
And rest. Thank you.
Okay.
That. That's the last. I didn't mention that, but that is important as well, right?
Important.
Because when we have these things in our head about, are we performing like everybody else? Knowing that you have a dis-ease, right, and you are different, and so we need our rest. And so I think when I was younger, I pushed myself a lot, and as an adult, learning that when to say no, and if my friends are my friends and they know my condition, then they understand. She needs her rest, and she's taking care of herself. Because her health comes first. And so,
and you want to keep those type of people around you that understand that, okay? Because it's all about your peace. All about your peace. Around your bubble is just peace, and that's what it is. If you can keep yourself at peace, then you're like in harmony. Everything is in balance. You're not stressed. You're worry-free. You're happy. You're feeling good. Your body feels good, and that's what matters about you. Being happy. Good. This was an awesome interview. I'm so glad you took the time out to
Thank you for having me.
No,
Thank you.
I
appreciate it. I enjoyed myself.
Thank you. It was wonderful having you. And if I have any more questions, I will definitely have people reach out to you. Where can they contact you?
So you can find me on Instagram at I am Saiba.
Okay.
And I think that's the best way to find me. I am Saiba on Instagram.
I will definitely put that in the description so that they can contact you. Maybe somebody else has sickle cell and they have questions. It'll be awesome to speak with you directly.
Sounds good. You'll find my Mindfulness Monday posts on Instagram. So yes.
That's what I want them to see. I was definitely wanting you to share that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Health Talk Tuesdays. Now don't forget to hit the thumbs up and like this video and subscribe to join the Healthy Professors Tribe. And also hit that notification bell so you're updated each time I drop a new video. Stay tuned for my next video.